Call and response Q&A. Question and answer. New dimension. Essential aspects of life. Health. Action. Art. Family. Culture. Heritage. Breathing. Diet. Exercise. Rhythm. Emotion. This is the theme. This is the topic. This is the topic on the table. Here is something to ask yourself. Something we find. Here is something to ask ourselves. This is what I want you to answer. Call and response, question and answer. This is to consider what I want you to answer. This is what I want you to answer. To consider. To define. What is power? What is power? What is freedom? What is freedom? The two could go together. Maybe they are. Maybe one and the same. Or one and the same in ways.
As far as though the thought, right? We think involuntarily even before we decide to think, right? We got subconscious thoughts going on. Right, but in the whole idea is that thinking is an action, just like speaking is an action. Because you can have something to say and not say it. Just like you can have a thought in your mind and not consciously select the acknowledgement of your subconscious awareness of that thinking that you're doing. Based on what you're doing, based on what you're hearing, based on what you're saying, or at least related to it in reference to, for sure. It's related, most absolutely. It's intertwined, and it's a cycle of, of relevance. However, you can put yourself in a position as well as at an angle to where your actual conscious thinking incorporates your subconscious thinking, and that it respects all possibilities, all varieties. It respects all contexts and approaches and encapsulations by not being so one-sided. It can be universal thinking. By not being so biased, by not being so intentional, especially if it's not a universal intention. You have to think about what is the best action. Okay? What is the most worthy action? Because actions speak louder than words. But some people can't hear. Some people are deaf. Okay? Or sometimes life can be deaf to the loudness of our actions. Right? Now, how do you catch the attention of a deaf life? Louder actions? You know what I mean? So, the whole idea is, what's the best action? You know? Maybe it's not a loud action. Maybe it's a vivid action. You know what I'm saying? Something more visible as opposed to audible. To be honest with you, audio visual is the same thing. The same part of your brain that translates the data to your brain, to your mind, through your eyes, is the same part of the brain that translates the sound that you hear through your ears. Okay? In fact, a neuroscientist or a brain surgeon or a fucking brain expert, a craniologist and shit, a craniologist will tell you that unless a person could tell you the difference. If they was looking just at the brain, they wouldn't be able to even differentiate between sound and sight. Basically, this is the point I'm trying to make. Not really trying to make a point. I'm just saying, like, I wanted to try to be first to just sort of comment on that. Because like I said, I'm not necessarily an expert or whatever. And I'm searching for my words to really kind of articulate it. But at the same time, once you are able to certify and assure your appreciation universally, then the words just come natural. But you need to know the words that you can use. You know what I'm saying? You got to be hearing what people aren't saying. Because it's going to link you to exactly the perfect way to put particular things. So that it can connect universally with the specific person you speaking with. Because we all puzzle pieces, but a lot of us have fucking broke our edge off. We got a piece that's missing from the piece, so we can't even tell that it go this way, go to this part of the puzzle, because you hiding it and shit, or it's broken on you. And so we got to repair that piece of you so that we all fit better together. Otherwise, we're going to be overlooking the whole structure of the puzzle because we think you shaped this way and we already made an inventory of the shapes of shit. But your shape ain't even the real shape that it is. So now we got to go through everything else because you was hiding your fucking edge, your little bevel and shit. When if you would have just been open, then the puzzle would have came together how it needed to, and we wouldn't have to take pieces off or try to squeeze the wrong piece in your spot. You feel me? Because it's shaped close to what you would have been shaped like, but since there's no other pieces that's shaped like how you actually shaped, then this is the closest shape to it, but you was hiding the shape, and this actually a whole nother shape, and that motherfucker hiding too, so you don't even know that he ain't, that cuz ain't the shape that he's supposed to be in, and you in his spot, and another nigga in your spot. You feel me? When you just communicate, you're supposed to be communicating. 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 That's what information is for, communication. Don't let the animalistic primal instinct of material man use your own power against you when it comes to communication. Because the truth is unbreakable. The truth is perfect. Right? It's all on how you use it. But the idea that I had was about thoughts, right? Right. We think about thinking, right? Before we think. And a lot of times we get into a mode to where now we go into like we turn it on and off. You know, that's an advanced person. Not necessarily an advanced person, but that's like that's a sophisticated. That's the perfect word for that would be a sophisticated, because you got soph in that. Soph means wisdom in itself. Okay. Now, a sophisticated individual, or sophisticated thinker, sophisticated conceptualizer, sophisticated communicator. You know what I'm saying? Because see, at this point, like even with communication and interrelating with each other, audibly as well as socially, which social means to speak. Yes, the association. It's not necessarily just talking, but a social gathering. There's definitely some speaking going on, unless some other things are going on, and that's still social. But even then, you're gonna still hear something. Right? So a sophisticated individuation who is an advanced in his association or his social fucking prowess or fucking, you know what I mean, systemizing of its own thoughts, because it's gonna happen either way, because it's this fucking war we in. Niggas trying to see, they need to know your shape. It's not their fault. We need to know each other's shapes. Not that we need to know so that we can show somebody else or we can use it against you or that we can be better than you. Because no, I want to be able to be my full shape while you can be your full shape. And we can see the picture better. The picture is coming together and you might be closer to me making a whole little beautiful part of the picture. And that's why we click. That's why we click. Okay? And if you sophisticated, then it's like you can't help but have to like hide your connections with people, you know, just to protect the process. Because sometimes you need to. And that's the whole idea of a puzzle. That's why you buy puzzles for your kids. It's so that they can get better at structuring things. They can become more familiar, and it's more of an automated association mentally with structuring things. And that's the whole science of understanding. We think we understand something, but we don't know if we understand it until we understand something else, and then we reference our understanding of something unrelated to another something that we understand, and then we gotta understand a third thing so that we can reference the unrelatability of those two first things and accord the three things to all together, and then that shapes the understanding of each of those things, right? And that's not even including the things that we think we understood that are related to the three main things of reference. But you gotta be having puzzle pieces to do that. If you don't even put puzzles together, then you understand everything as one fucking thing. How you gonna be able to use it to your benefit and shit, basically, to be better than the next motherfucker, or faster, or to survive, basically. To basically survive off in your primal fucking, you know what I'm saying, instinct, basically, which is not your fault. However, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you thinking about thinking? And a lot of times we are and don't realize it, and that's because we've been programmed to do that. Because really we want to integrate that realm of universal thought into each of our decided ideas that we're conjuring. Because what is the context? What is the context in which you're conceptualizing, that you're having ideas, that you're doing this thinking, right? Is it because you got to go to work and you need to figure out this project? Is it because you know it's emotional and it's got to do with people's feelings and you kind of want to maneuver through emotional sort of sensational friction? You know what I mean? And a lot of times it is based on that, and that's why people be so emotionally receptive, or so, like, you know, subconsciously emotionally divisive. You know, and a lot of times they can't help but have to manipulate, because it's like that's the way they maneuver. Basically, maneuvering through that is a particular form of manipulation, if you let it be that. A lot of times you can do the opposite, which is to guide, or to be a tool of, I guess you could say, enabling, or, you know, support, encouragement, or I guess you could say like yeah, like support, like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times people see what you're going through because they're so, you know what I mean, they're familiar, they are personally connected. They kind of like have a connection to trauma. They have a connection to dysfunction, and so it's like they see how it's unstructured because their structure is unstructured. You know, and it's like that's how they're able to kind of like interfere with your own natural process, because it's like they see what you're not looking for before you would even think to look for it, because you're focused on how it does work as opposed to how it does not work. But it's really the same thing. How it does work is not how it doesn't work, and how it doesn't work is not how it does work. But at the same time, if your goal is putting the picture together, as opposed to hiding your shape, then there's an element of knowing within you that you're drawing on for that. And that's the whole point I'm making. That realm of universal thinking is timeless in that it is the future, the past, and the present. So everything that will happen, and this is something you have to wrap your mind around. Yes, there's potentiality. Nothing is set in stone except for everything, basically. Because even though it can go either way, it's going to go one way or the next. Okay? Now that's changing with every thought that we choose to have, even the ones we don't choose to have. What happens and how it's going to happen is changing. Except for the fact that outside of time, because time only exists here on this fucking planet. The only reason we got time is because we're spinning around in a particular loop. Okay, and that's how we get time. Because of motion. Energy in motion. You go outside of the earth far enough, time is going to stop for you. The time is going to be different than it is on earth, where you are. I would imagine. I mean, okay, and this is a whole other point, right? In particular, how far it is that you get away from the earth, time is going to change. Because for one, it's going to take time for you to get back to the earth. Right? And I mean, generally speaking, but you don't realize all of this, right? Right? Generally speaking, time is passing how it would naturally pass because you still on earth until you leave the earth, until you're not here on earth and you're somewhere other than this earth. Right? However, at the same time, it's like, you got to understand, the earth is only one part of the universe, my nigga. Okay? Now, when it comes to this earth, my nigga, we are less than a speck, my nigga, of all that there is. So you go to the farthest point away from where we at, which is your point of reference and what you understand, the first point of reference, right? Because then you got to go to the next furthest point in a different direction to get to a different point of reference, and that's just in distance. That's just in space. As far as, you know what I mean, the non-relatability of these interchangeable references. That makes sense to you, yes? Okay, good. You get to the furthest point of this quote-unquote universe, nigga, that's gonna take more than your lifetime, nigga. So you don't even be able to reference the time that it's taken whatsoever. Okay, that's millions of years, my nigga. That's billions, that's quadrillions of years, my nigga, just to reach that point. Unless you go in your mind to begin with, but that's a whole nother conversation, bro. You can get there instantly right now just if you will it within to be. However, you don't know what's there. But if you could piece the puzzles together because things are as natural, at least more half natural than they not, then you can be able to trust that you can pop up like Nightcrawler, even though you can't see where you're going. You can pop up and not be stuck in some sort of inanimate wood object because you can kinetically fuse your cells back together through teleportation in a particular place that's actually solid. Now you're stuck in the solid and you can't consciously make your mind up to do anything else because your mind is now sporadically, you know what I'm saying, stuck in this wood or whatever the fuck. That's why Nightcrawler got to be able to see where you're going when that's why he pops. You know what I'm saying? It's like a jumping. Because if you jump too far, it's like you can't see where you're gonna end up at unless you jump far into the air. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, you can go to the moon, then from there you can pick another place on, you know what I'm saying, on Earth and just pop up right there. But even if that's still kind of far, you don't know if you're gonna pop up inside the roof of the building or on top of the roof, right? Or you don't know if you're gonna pop up in a tree. You gotta be able to see exactly where you're gonna pop up at. That's all I'm saying. Like Nightcrawler, who is doing fucking teleportation, let alone telepathy, right? Because we don't even have to say nothing to each other, yo. We don't have to say nothing to each other. right? We can look at each other and know how we really feel. We would know more how we really felt through looking at each other with less words. To begin with, right?